Greetings, IB artists. This is Miss A, and today we'll be talking about the curatorial rationale. So what's important about Criterion C is effective resolution of imagery, signs, symbols to realize forms and meaning and purpose and intentions. So really this is about how you have created meaning. How have you constructed the image that you have constructed, or images in this case, because we're talking about your overall exhibition, in the way that you did in order to convey or communicate the meanings or the ideas behind your work. Conceptual qualities are the qualities of your work where it deals with your intentions and the ideas that you're trying to explore and communicate. So there's quite a few questions under this. We'll look at the questions that I've put under Criterion C. What are the concepts and understandings you intend to convey? Now this one overlaps with the first one, Criterion A. Okay? It doesn't mean that you have to write it twice. If you have responded to this question in Criterion A that already covers conceptual qualities as a criterion, then you're fine. You're not going to go into it again. So we're going to skip ahead. How have particular issues, motifs, or ideas been explored? This question actually is related to the one in Criterion B, where it's asking you how you have used the materials and the formal qualities to convey meaning. However, in this section, where in Criterion B you really focused on the media, the techniques, and the formal qualities, here again you are talking about specifically the concepts. So issues, motifs, and ideas, how have you gone about exploring them? They want specific, not just general, superficial responses to this. And again, they overlap. So if you've done that already, then that's fine. If you haven't, make sure that you do, because this is where you get marks for Criterion C. Issues, motifs, concepts. Motifs are usually something that is reoccurring. So again, this kind of goes under the coherent body of work as well. If there is some kind of a theme that you are exploring in your work, it asks you specifically how these ideas, issues, and motifs have been explored. So you need to go into some depth as to how you have gone about exploring these ideas. And this will typically include a clear and succinct analysis of the development of your work, how you have developed the concepts, the ideas, etc., through the choice of media, the choice of formal elements, etc. Basically, they're looking for your analysis of this. I've talked about the difference between description and analysis in my previous videos. This is an incredibly important distinction that you need to understand. Description is simply recounting something or telling something. So first I did this, and then I did that, and then this followed, and this happened, and blah, 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 right? Or describing things like what your image actually looks like. Analysis is a lot deeper. It deals with how you did things and why you did things, right? So everything should have a reason. And this is the opportunity to really show the thinking behind everything that you've done and how you went about developing your work, exploring your work, what came out of experimentation, how you applied the knowledge that you got through experimentation and enhanced, developed, improved, refined your work. So they're really kind of looking for the specifics of your process. So again, we have a repeating question. This also goes under conceptual qualities. What themes can be identified in the work, or what experiences have influenced it? So this is a question that we already kind of had under Criterion A. If you've answered that, that's fine. I just wanted to point out that answering this question really personalizes your work. It makes it personal because you are talking about your exploration of your ideas, of your concepts, of your techniques, applications, innovations, etc. So it makes the work unique. So again, the more specific you are, the more original and innovative your work will be because it is specific to you. So you're really sharing what makes your work yours, what makes it original, and what makes it important. What makes it important to you. And if you care about it, then obviously the person who's looking at it or reading about it will then also care, because that's the way it works, right? So if someone cares about something, passion is usually contagious. If you're really interested in something, usually people are like, oh, I've never thought about that before. It sounds interesting, put it in a way that's interesting. From this, the examiner, for example, will gauge how invested you are. The more personal it is to you, the more invested you are in the work. So the last question for Criterion C is, how does the way you have arranged and presented your artwork support the relationships and connections between the artworks presented? Again, this is something that we've asked already in Criterion A. This is simply, again, talking about, under conceptual qualities, under this criterion, the ideas and how you've arranged your work in a way that communicates those ideas with the audience or to the examiner, etc. So for example, if you do have motifs or recurring ideas or themes, and then this should be somehow reflected in the way that you put the work together. That you grouping your work, the chronology of your work, the order in which your work goes in, should reflect these ideas that you have been looking at and exploring over the 2 years of IB. So the final criterion, Criterion D, which is the curatorial practice, which is what this is all about. The key idea in Criterion D is to justify the selection, arrangement, and exhibition of a group of artworks within a designated space, right? So again, the space is designated. You have no control over that. It's fine. We're well aware of that. But you're really justifying why you are putting up the work that you are, the pieces that you have selected, and why you are arranging the pieces in the way that you have, which goes back to all the previous questions. So this is what I mean by everything overlaps. But I think this way you have a very clear idea of what you need to put into that curatorial rationale and ensures that you don't miss anything out. If you really spend some time responding to these questions in great depth, showing reflection and analysis, you should be covered. You should be completely covered. If, however, you answer in a very superficial way, then it just simply won't be enough, really. So the first question under Criterion D is, how does the work you have exhibited your artwork contribute to the meanings you are trying to convey to an audience? This is basically what we've just talked about. You are explaining, you are justifying having put up your exhibition in the way that you have. So for the HL students, what strategies did you use to develop a relationship between the artwork and the viewer? For example, visual impact. And then the second question, I'm just going to put those two together. What do you intend the audience to feel, think, experience, understand, see, learn, consider from the work that you have selected for exhibition? So you can already feel that there's a lot more depth that is required for the HL students. So really explain and specify the strategies that you used in the way that you thought about the audience experiencing your work. So considering the audience's experience, everything from where they come in, how they move through your space, what they see, in what order, how are the items or artworks grouped, is there anything on the floor, are they walking around something, are they walking through an installation, is it important for the artwork to be somewhat hidden and possibly revealed, or does the audience have to discover something? You know, is it in a box? Is it behind a wall? Etc., etc. One of the best ways to know what to do or know how to guide the audience is to visit museums and galleries yourself. Crazy times at the moment, of course, but you can watch a lot of that online. There's a lot of videos on artists talking on how they work with curators on setting up their exhibition. And it's really very important that you rely solely on the artworks. You are not using, I mean, it sounds crazy, but I have seen things like potpourri in spaces, or, you know, incense. It's not that kind of ambience or atmosphere that you're creating. You're creating a space where people are experiencing your artwork specifically, so rely on your artwork to do the communication. You know, again, you know, does something have to be projected, you know, using scale, using placement, how high up on the wall, on the floor, etc. You kind of get what I'm on about. I'll try and find some videos for you and include them below so that you can kind of see how curators think about exhibitions. I'll try and find some, and also, you know, how artists work with curators or on their own to set up exhibitions. I think knowledge of contemporary exhibitions is important for this criterion, and you can only get that through being exposed to them through internet, or best of all in person. However, of course, at the moment it's not exactly safe to do that. So, you know, there's plenty of ways. Don't worry about that. Thank you so much for watching. This is Miss A. All the best.